Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the TV Pilot's License with service to the Van Nuys Airport. We ask that you please fasten your headphones, secure your podcasting device, and remember that if you aren't fully satisfied with this TV Pilot's License flight, you are welcome to check out and use any of our free episodes of the TV Pilot's License. I am so sorry. You know what? Subscribe for free. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to the TV Pilot's License. My name is Geoff Kerbis, joined by Rich, Inman, and Max Singer. How are you boys doing today?
I'm great. We're flying into Van Nuys Airport because we bought a decommissioned Jet Suite X-plane. It's the new TVPL private jet.
Rich, how are you?
The business model can't fail. I'm doing good. This is a perfect show that represents me as someone who graduated from a top business school with really good grades.
Oh my God. Well, gentlemen, for those who did not catch up on a few of the clues, we are doing Nathan for You this week by Comedy Central, which can actually be found on Max if you are looking for it, if you want to watch before you listen to our episode. But for our own Max, why don't you tell people what this podcast is all about?
Max is the database where I tell you where to find shows. So if you don't know where to find something, you could DM me or just ask me if you see me in real life, and I'll tell you where to find your favorite shows.
You're the Kramer movie phone.
Exactly. Here at TV Pilot's License, we break down and analyze the pilot episodes of some of TV's most famous, or in some cases, infamous shows. We learn a little bit more about how these shows came to be and were originally made, if they're effective pilot episodes and making us want to watch more, and if we think they can be made today, go back and stream old episodes from wherever you get podcasts from. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok to see our smiling faces. Like, subscribe, leave comments that make us feel good about ourselves. And if it is your first time flying with us, then welcome aboard.
Or leave comments that are mean. We might be into that.
It's all engagement, baby. It all helps. Well, Rich,
Max is so good on prompter.
What is your question of the week?
Well, so this episode gives us three particular problems for Nathan to solve. How do we boost business at a yogurt shop? How do we boost business at a pizza shop? And how do we get hired using a 7-year-old as a Cyrano de Bergerac type walkie-talkie system? I want to know, yogurt shop or pizza shop, what is the craziest idea that you have to get more business in the door?
Max, I'm curious. What are you thinking?
Alrighty, so I've got a foolproof plan to boost business for any pizzeria. I'm introducing the half pizza. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Max, if someone wants less pizza, couldn't they just get the smaller pie option? And I say, nay. They're going to get the half pizza because they're not going to think they're ordering a full pie, even if it's a smaller size. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you can buy the half pies of pumpkin and pecan and things like that. Well, we're applying that to pizzerias now. And any leftover half pies at the end of the night get turned into slices.
Rich, I'm curious. What about yourself?
Well, I also went pizza shop with this one. And I was thinking, what's the most exciting part about eating at an Italian restaurant? The guy that brings the Parmesan cheese around to grate all over your shit and asks you when to stop. Why not do that for delivery? We have a special case with Parmesan. You bring that, you open that pizza up for the guy. You tell him when to stop. He's going to do it right there on your stoop. I think that would be a fun enough idea for people to jam on.
Am I the asshole who came up with an idea for a frozen yogurt shop that I think is actually okay? Because
we came up with pizza ideas that are pretty good.
Well, I also have a pizza idea, but we have two fantastic, award-winning pizza shop ideas. So maybe I'll give
Jeff's
you mine.
Idea is yogurt shop. It's ice cream now.
No, my idea was do you guys remember when ice bars were like a big thing to go and you'd wear like the fur coat or something like
Absolutely.
that?
Yep.
I want to make an ice bar themed frozen yogurt shop. I think that would be actually a big Instagrammable hit.
Okay.
Like people would be super excited to do it. Yes, you could have some adult beverages maybe included as well if you can get the right license for your location. But I think that'd be a lot of fun rather than just going in and being like, yogurt and toppings. Why not make it something a little bit more enjoyable and
get people to stick around?
And speaking of Instagrammable things, my pizza delivery concept was, it was great and not objectifying at all in the early 2000s, Abercrombie and Fitch model. So if you want your pizza delivered to you, why not have a good-looking person deliver it who doesn't know what pizza tastes like? So I am recommending to whatever pizza store, if you give me a call, match up with a modeling agency. When those models aren't modeling, they are driving your pizza around, and you will be so busy, so goddamn busy, it will blow your mind.
Wow. Call up Jeff's Piping Hot Pizza.
Well, Rich, thank you for that. Excuse me, question of the week. Let's talk
we're going 4 for 4 on ideas. That was great.
So let's talk a little bit more about Nathan for You, and we'll start with a quick synopsis. Nathan Fielder uses his business degree and life experiences to help real small businesses turn a profit, which, yeah, that is what we watched in this pilot. I think that's a pretty open
hijinks ensue.
Yeah, there might be a small part that I left out that says unorthodox approach. But Max, why don't you tell us what this and how this show got made?
So today we are talking about the pilot of Nathan for You, titled Yogurt Shop and Pizzeria, which originally aired on February 28th, 2013 on Comedy Central. We'll be talking about the show's mastermind, Nathan Fielder, as well as his co-showrunner, Michael Coben, a little bit today. So Fielder began in all places as a segment writer for Canadian Idol, where he was noticed by an executive producer of the long-running CBC comedy, This Hour Has 22 Minutes. Fielder was hired as a field correspondent in 2007 for the show, where he developed the popular reoccurring segment Nathan on Your Side, where he acted as a consumer advocate investigating products in what is a precursor to today's show. He pitched an American remake to Comedy Central, and while it was not picked up at the time, the network brought him on to write and direct segments for Important Things to Dimitri Martin and H. John Benjamin Has a Van, where additionally he played the boom mic operator in one of my favorite episodes of TV of all time.
Oh, it's so good.
Following the cancellation of John Benjamin Has a Van, the network greenlights a pilot of Nathan for You. To help develop the pilot, Fielder enlists his old head writer from Important Things, Michael Coben, whose resume includes stints at Mad TV, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and The Colbert Report. The original pitch contained way more scripted material with shorter sketches in between each segment. Fielder and Coben fine-tuned the show to just focus on the documentary style of filmmaking. Flushing out their writer's room are familiar faces including Dan Mintz of Bob's Burgers fame, fellow Conan alum Andrew Weinberg, and a pre-SNL Kyle Mooney. And yes, Fielder isn't lying. He does in fact hold a bachelor's degree from the University of Victoria in marketing and entrepreneurship.
Well, I would hate if Nathan Fielder lied to us or deceived us at any point.
I would have turned the show off instantly.
When you lie about having a business degree from a good school, you're going to get in trouble someday. Rich and I know firsthand, we will come and find you if you lie about your school being a good school for business.
How often do you get a show with an actual, solid joke in the opening credit sequence? It is so rare that that's part of the theme of the show, that it's with really good grades and your eye is immediately drawn to the C+ on the screen.
And let's talk about that opening a little bit more, right? And thanks for that, Rich, because I think that one of the things that this show does immediately is Nathan Fielder's dry, just delivery of that line of, my name's Nathan.
This is Sahara dry.
Yeah, my name's Nathan. I have a business degree. I'm helping small businesses. And we almost get this Christopher Guest style small montage of these changes of before and after Nathan. In some of these are bonkers. Some of these jokes, I don't know if we could make today. But also at the same time, I'm so happy they were made. And I'm curious, Max, what were you thinking when you saw this opening sequence?
I know the show premiered a little bit after Undercover Boss did, a couple years after shows like that. I think this was a little bit at the height of the bar rescue fandom. And I just think about those types of shows and what a specific lane to try to lampoon. And it shows that clearly Fielder and the crew are amused by these types of self-help, business restoration type shows, kitchen nightmares, all of that. And when you think about Nathan For You, just kind of spoofing that lane, it's like, oh, I know exactly what this is going to be.
Mhm.
It's just way, and we're going to use this word a few times today, even though I don't like it, cringier.
Yeah, this show does such a good job of leaning into the cringe and leaning into that discomfort by being that semi-reality docu-series style.
Well,
and
because
like,
it never winks at you either. That's the thing in this too, is that so much of it is just matter of fact. It said point blank. Fielder never gives up the ghost in this pilot. It is done with such sincerity, and that's what makes it effective. Anything like this, if you're tongue in cheek, if you're winking at me, you're dead in the water.
100%.
Absolutely. I mean, it does give the same feel as like, oh my god, the Eric Andre show, and where it's just like, what we're gonna do is put something crazy out there and just let people be the comedy, because there's nothing that in this show that feels like, oh, we are waiting and waiting and waiting for this moment. It is, we're having a conversation and the people are just going to be crazy on their own. And we're just going to have so many conversations that the crazy is going to come out.
So let's talk about some of the crazy that we find in our first consultant case, because that's sort of how I view this. Is like, in my mind, maybe I've been in the corporate world too long, I view Nathan Fielder as the worst version of a consultant that has ever existed, coming in and giving advice that isn't really advice, making PowerPoint presentations that no one wants to sit through. And in this instance, we are helping Yogurt Heaven try to get, quote unquote, more foot traffic. And if there's someone that I love in this pilot more than Nathan Fielder, it is the random man that they just fed lines to at the yogurt shop, being like, I'm just a regular guy in the neighborhood. And like, and I think that, Max, to your point, it is the comedy of these people that we agreed to be on camera, be indies, that makes this so goddamn funny.
It's not a ton of people either.
Well,
No,
that's why it has to help the business. It's not a lot of people there.
But I guess from your two perspectives, like, as we set the scene of, hey, Nathan comes in, and it does such a good job of almost feeding us this recipe of what he's going to do, right? He's going to come into your business. He has his solution predetermined. He has done his undercover work, which both times I'm crying, laughing, because, Max, as you said, it's a sort of a nod to Undercover Boss. And then no matter how bad the idea is or how absurdist the idea is, we get to watch Nathan go through the process of making that idea a reality. So rather than us going point by point or beat by beat, I want to hear from you two. What were your thoughts seeing this form of comedy as opposed to like the audience being in on the joke the entire time?
My initial thought is I'm devastated to report that Yogurt Haven and Eagle Rock did unfortunately close. Colorado Boulevard in Northeast LA lost an icon of a business. This is down the street from one of my favorite Mexican restaurants in LA, however. I love how Nathan Fielder basically embodies the human version of the like step 1, step 2, question mark, step 3 profit Twitter meme from back in the day.
Oh, the
because
South Park
it is
joke,
so blunt. When he just says the solution is poo ice cream, he says it not even with like conviction. It's just like so matter of fact. It's just so simple. It's not like he's a McKinsey consultant trying to come in here and tell you what you're doing wrong. He just lays it out like it's the easiest thing in the world. And also, in 2024, that's just every flavor at Salt and Straw. Any ice cream parlor that you go to in Los Angeles nowadays has some sort of gimmicky thing on their menu. Poo ice cream is not that novel in today's day and age.
I bought a delicious pint of YMCA pool bathroom that you are going to love.
That is so utterly specific.
They paired up with small businesses to come up with custom flavors, Jeff. That's why it's $7.50 a scoop.
Oh my God. Rich, from your perspective, what are you thinking seeing this initial plot, the concept, and then immediately maybe even diving into the idea that they had food scientists come up with the idea of what poop tastes like?
Yeah, you have to really give it to his commitment for all of these. There is no, to forgive a pun, there's no half-assing the poop ice cream thing, and you have to start with poop ice cream. That is like, I don't remember exactly every episode of the first season, but you have to start with that one because that's
now,
like
we've all taken screenwriting classes. It's like chapter 1, poop ice cream.
Start with poop ice cream.
This is where you start. Start your script at poop ice cream.
If your poop ice cream hasn't arrived by the 3rd page of the script, you're done.
No one cares. No one's buying that pilot.
But think about how little attention span is given to Comedy Central scripted shows in the first place. If you don't have something insane and eye-catching and like, oh my God, that feeling, if you don't have that, like, the Detroiter script starts off extremely strong and then like, levels out and then gets crazier. But like you have to go big. Broad City does the same. They do such a good job of not only writing and filming this, but the editing of it is so specifically good that you're captivated.
I do have to think when I'm watching this of like, how would this show do today? And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But there's so many like, and I hate to look at a show and be like, oh, that's an Instagram reel. That's a TikTok clip. That's a short on YouTube. But there's so many instances of that in this first thing. From seeing Nathan say, hey, we got poo flavor, or seeing the food science say that they had to call it fake feces. And then Nathan saying, I'm not going to try it. I'm going to have a focus group try it. That entire focus group eating it. Like I want to talk.
They don't show him trying it once, right?
Yeah, he does not try it once.
So
and it's the funniest thing. But one of the moments that I was just like, oh my God, this is a real human being was the PR manager that Nathan goes to visit and then subsequently gets in an argument with nearly 2 minutes into the conversation.
Oh man, yeah. For a show where this entire segment is dedicated to poo ice cream, the only person who comes out looking bad is PR agent Tyler Barnett.
Truly, yeah, and even worse so because he should have read the contract first that allowed him the release agreement. If he's going to work in PR, you got to learn how to read a release and understand that what you're doing is giving them fodder for a comedy show. You look bad.
But one of the things that I find so amazing is this might speak more to Nathan Fielder than anyone, but Nathan's ability to read the room, be like, this isn't that funny. What if I got under this guy's skin just a little bit and somehow just twist just enough to get that man to explode? Like literally just start yelling.
I do not understand what Comedy Central knows about how to get a clip of someone acting like an idiot in an interview, because Republicans have been shooting themselves in the foot going on the Daily Show for 21 years. I'm sorry, no, 25 years now. And none of them have learned. And then to have this, and in the same sense that like, I got the same feeling here as when I watched the Ollie G show and he was doing these interviews as Bruno or Ollie G or Borat. And he was like, I'm going to push these people to the edge. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to take them there and they won't commit a crime against me because there's cameras. And like there is something that these people know about how to get under these people's skin safely.
I want to go back to a point you made a little bit ago, Jeff, where you talked about how many versions of like TikToks or Reels videos you see that feel like they're trying to do the same thing with lesser results. I think that's just so true right now. How many people would say that they're going to walk into an ice cream parlor and just badger the staff asking for poop ice cream until the guy snaps with the camera in his face, like with the, or like the hidden camera. We see that constantly. We're bombarded with these lowest common denominator prank type videos. And what separates what Nathan Fielder does, whether you find it funny or not, is just that it's so sincere. I mean, it is and it isn't. Like, it's very snarky, but I don't think it's ever malicious. I don't think he's ever punching down on anyone in this pilot. And the conversations just, spawned what the humor is. But it's just, I don't know. It's so grounded. It's so focused. It's so controlled. It's not trying to ever, at least in this episode, be mean to anyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the only sense that I got of Nathan Fielder being quote unquote mean was with this PR guy, because the PR guy was instantly like, this is a bad idea. And it's almost that idea of Nathan Fielder being so passionate about his bad idea that he's made it into a good one, that he then, I don't want to say attack this guy, but he set him up to fail. He set up this PR guy to look like a buffoon. And it made that scene even funnier, because they very easily could have just cut and been like, hey, here are 5 great ideas, cut the scene, cool. Nathan say, you know what, I want to do guerrilla marketing. But they kept on rolling and kept on
those
pushing.
ideas are terrible, by the way. I like when his first idea is like, we're going to have a froyo eating contest and you can invite all the kids to eat froyo. That's dumb. That's a waste of product. Margins are so thin in this industry to begin with. That's an idiotic idea. You could do so much better than that.
Yeah, and really, you get to see, this is the first moment of showing the Nathan Fielder like undeniable skill of baiting someone into a schoolyard argument, because he can read alpha male behavior. He can read ego so well and immediately just get someone to just drop everything they're doing to argue about penises. Like it is so it is so goddamn impressive how he's able to get someone who's a quote unquote professional. I really hope that I don't find out that this person is an actor and they're kind of just like feeling out the scene or whatever. But yeah, it is just like, I really just truly love that about him.
And for all this, for the food chemistry that we bring in, for the PR firms we sit down with, for all of the buildup, the focus groups we pay for as big as we build this, it ends on a whimper. It ends on an absolute like non-button of just a paper sign saying no more poo. Like it just, we do all of these steps to make this thing seem like the grandest operation in human history, to just end it, and to not even like end the segment, to just basically like bail out of it. And that's so funny, to commit so hard and then just kind of end on like sad trumpet noise.
So as we end this segment, there's a recurring segment that happens throughout this episode, and it's the idea
we got a runner
of acing a interview, and it uses a lot of principles, right? We have a runner, we have the rule of 3, seeing 3 different uses of the joke as well. And I really loved this idea and loved using this to break up the pilot as a whole, like because when it comes to the idea of, you have Nathan Fielder, who's, I'll say it, he just beams confidence in his ideas of what he's saying. Like, is he the ideal?
Not in a traditional sense.
No. But like, there's something to be said about being so passionate about something, when someone's talking about it, you don't interrupt them, right? And that is a sort of confidence that Nathan Fielder provides. But then to take that away from him and say, let's give him the words from a 7-year-old. Let's have H. John Benjamin appear and just like absolutely, that was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever watched. Like, what were you two thinking during that H. John Benjamin scene? Because I was crying of laughter.
I love that Nathan allows himself to be the only person who gets punched down in this episode. And I think whether or not, again, this is a very subjective show. You're either going to be super into it or you're never going to want to watch another episode. What H. John Benjamin does, though, is just allows Fielder to be the butt of a joke for a moment, and it is ruthless. He absolutely just twists the knife into him to a point where even Nathan is like, I'm not saying that, like, I can't do this. It's the only time that we see him kind of bail out of a bit in
Just
this show.
That slow pan into Nathan when, like, with the slight bit of shaky cam when they were waiting for him to say it to the guy who was interviewing him, I was just like, this is a beautiful comedy in the idea of, like, this is what The Office used to be, sort of thing, but this is real life, is like what I was getting that entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. And this also does a great job of adding in the thing that we talk about all the time with about pilots in general, of like, you want to look like you're good at your protagonist has to be good at their job. And what we see here is three separate segments of, yogurt shop, heavy commitment, pizza shop, heavy commitment, and then testing his mettle of his business degree to say, like, oh, I can land a job interview even with a 7-year-old saying, like, I can have enough poise to land a job because of my business confidence. Even if I let a 7-year-old talk for me, even if I let H. John Benjamin talk for me, even if I let a tortoise talk for me.
Well, there's an old adage with, like, comedy and stand-up where they say some people say funny things and some people say things funny.
Yeah.
And I think if you kind of flip that into, like, the way you deliver it, the confidence you deliver with, it's not what you're saying, it's how you say it. He's just kind of playing with that concept in a very fascinating way here with, the bemused thoughts of a 7-year-old child.
Yeah, just so many bits about this pilot make it, like, I mean, you can't look away from it. It is just so freaking funny. And H. John Benjamin saying it's sad that convincing Nathan to say it's sad that the guy's mother is still alive. It's so insane. It's like they really put their foot down on this, and, like, I mean, it shows how hard they were going for the commitment for it.
Let's talk about our final case, our final business that we're helping. And we are helping a pizza shop that appears to have multiple locations throughout the LA area.
I have not personally tried Valley Pizza Land. I don't know about you, Rich.
I have not.
Well, if anyone listening would like to send Rich and I a gift certificate to Valley Pizza Land, we would love to try it, and we'll get back to you with our review.
Oh.
We'll do a whole pizza review for you and let you know the findings. You can just send either of us a gift card to Valley Pizza Land.
It is sadly permanently closed.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Because you didn't send
Nathan's
us gift
0 for 2.
cards.
Be very curious to see what Nathan's record is on businesses he's helped versus businesses that have shut down or been acquired.
It's not Gordon Ramsay numbers, I'm afraid.
Does it get the same boom as, like, place that people went for drinks or lunch on Vanderpump Rules where now people have to go there? Or is it a little less than that? What's the tourism flocking numbers?
I don't think people need to go to, like, mom and pop consumer electronics stores as much as people want to go to drinks at, like, I don't know, what's a restaurant
but this is pizza. This is...
If this show had come out today, Valley Pizza Land wouldn't have closed because so many goddamn comedy nerds would have flooded that place.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, the idea of the way that we're helping this business, right? We're going to guarantee free pizza, 8 minutes or less delivery. And Max, you sort of talked about that idea of cringe comedy. And this is the one that of these two cases that I felt a lot more cringe, because we're involving a real life human being with Angel, and, like, how he is gonna be a victim of, let's say it, abusive people who don't get the joke in some instances. Although there's one woman who thought
there's one woman who thinks that this
Loves it.
misdirect is so funny.
And I
Yeah.
will say, there is a woman in this house who thought the idea was one of the funniest fucking things that she's ever heard.
I would not need any weed for me to laugh that hard at a premise like that on when I went to go pick up a pizza.
So they're changing their 35 minutes or it's free policy to 8 minutes or it's free. I love how the owner of this shop just stares Nathan dead in the eyes is like, I can't cook the pizza that fast. Like, and it's not even like with concern or fear in his voice. It's just a stoic middle-aged man who's been making pizzas in the valley for years on end. Who was like, I cannot cook a pizza in 8 minutes. And Nathan's like,
we know.
All right, okay, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
Oh, and the policy changes to it. It's now 8 minutes or less, or your pizza is free. But they don't specify what size of the pizza it is when it arrives. Also, I would love to know where he got those tiny pizza boxes from, because now they're only an inch thick. They're only an inch in diameter, and they're cranking out these tiny pizzas in addition for every single delivery.
It was so funny just seeing them make that single tiny pizza. And then also just like you knew that they had to show us what was their reaction, and that's exactly what Nathan Fielder thought when they were writing this. If we want to see people's reaction to getting these tiny pizzas, there's probably going to be someone who's going to be really upset about it. And we got that one guy who was so pissed off that we got the mid-street shirt change of Nathan Fielder than trying to calm the guy down.
I'll tell you what, we saw a lot more blurred out faces. There were a lot fewer consent forms signed for that segment.
Sure, there sure were. Yeah, it was or they like didn't even try to bother at all. I think that might have been it. I don't know how much they actually tried to get consent forms from people who were like ordering pizza from this place. But yeah, I mean, this one dude, this kind of felt like a little, not to get soapboxy on this, but it felt a little bit like how capitalism works, of just like insane, crazy ideas. But the one who suffers is Angel, and the pizza delivery guy. And it felt really bad watching them put him in this position, because he knows people are going to be pissed off.
I did really like how this small part of this episode ended, though, right? There were two sort of like buttons to it. We have that eating pizza on the trunk of the car together and just talking. And like it, even though, it was nonsensical, it was still very nice and like heartwarming in a sense. And then Nathan ends this one, Max, very similar to our first business that we helped. He ends it by providing Wise so that we can say, instead of free deliver, free delivery, which was just
end
like
your pilot with a Y. He's this dude.
God damn it,
crushing it. He's a 3-dimensional chest.
And then, like, because this was the pilot, I don't know if either of you guys got this. We got this amazing trailer for what is to come in the rest of this season, and I will say that trailer did an amazing job of giving me a little bit more than, it's not just going to be what we saw over and over again. There's going to be more absurdist comedy, more nonsensical humor, and there's going to be, I need to tune in every week if I want to see what those hypothetically are.
I think the one thing that has cemented Nathan Fielder's place in the comedy universe right now is commitment. And God, does he shows you everything crazy that he's going to arrange on the show for the entire first season, or at least the next couple episodes. Because they just do a terrific job of like really saying like, you're going to want to watch more. Keep coming back. You just like, you had that moment of Angel singing the national anthem in the car, which was like truly like, it made my entire chest clench up with how awkward it was.
So, question for you guys. Fielder's now been doing his thing, developing his persona for the better part of 17 years. He just had his directorial feature debut announced, with A24 being executive produced, and to star Emma Stone. Can you see the connective tissue from Nathan For You to like indie film auteur Nathan Fielder?
100%, in all honesty. Like,
really?
I think I can see there is enough of when you see something as creative as this, and like taking and looking at the environment of like what is popular and saying, what if I did that, but like from my perspective, and just like try to really turn how odd it is that we're doing this, and like some of these people might not actually be experts at what they're doing. And that sort of brain and that sort of thought process, I think I'm never surprised of seeing them transition into doing something entirely out of left field of like, and that for Nathan Fielder, you look at his IMDb, you see that there was some acting that was done, right? Like he was in a couple of movies that, like he did The Night Before, he did The Disaster Artist, he was in like Tour de Pharmacy. And like those were all great, very funny things. He was
he's very much in the Jay Baruchel extended universe.
Yeah, he was just in The Curse.
Yeah, Canadians. Oh, it's called Canada, right?
He was just in The Curse, but then you see something like The Rehearsal, and maybe we'll do that show for this podcast, and then it becomes a little bit more clear of, hey, there were chapters to this journey, but we did get there.
I'll tell you though, The Curse makes Nathan For You look like PBS content. Like if you, like the rabbit hole which he's gone down to, like force you to watch further and further. Like the shows have gotten more intense as they've gone along, and seeing like the pilot of Nathan For You after 11 years compared to the pilot of The Curse, and seeing all the For Your Consideration campaigns for that show right now. Like Nathan For You's pilot is nothing compared to what he's trying to put out there now. And it's just so fascinating to think that like that lane is now going into film festival and authorship mode. I don't know. I just like, it's just still crazy to me.
I personally am not thrilled with the direction based on how not to editorialize too much, but how I felt about The Curse. I really did not like it. It was not something, and I will champion Nathan For You and The Rehearsal all day long until I'm blue in the face. But because The Rehearsal is one Nathan For You segment over 10 hours. And that was insane. The Curse, I just truly did not like it. I think Benny Safdie just like got his hands too much in it. Like, and he's pretty hit or miss for me. And I don't know. I hope that he keeps going with the thing that makes him so funny is, again, the commitment. And the thing about The Rehearsal that is so amazing is the commitment. And I just I waited and waited and waited for something in The Curse to happen, and then was super underwhelmed with what happened. So it was just like, I just really did not enjoy it. And maybe he signed on to do this before the finale of The Curse, but I'm very curious where he's going to take this. But I am confident in his ability to do so. I mean, like Bo Burnham directed 8th Grade. Mulaney did the Sack Lunch Bunch. Vince Staples has a really a strange comedy show. Now, people are extremely capable of changing their, perspective, changing their, reputation from the comedy world for sure.
People are allowed to have layers,
Totally.
There once was an ogre, that once said that.
I'm just saying, I can't believe that we got from Pooh Froyo to an A24 film. I cannot believe there is a line that connects these things.
His life is one long Nathan For You bit. He's pulling the wool. He's pulling the wool over somebody.
That would actually be the funniest thing if this all was a gigantic film or experiment or something like that.
All the time. I think that's what The Rehearsal has done to me. I think I'm just
Rich.
Oh, are we all just is he going to have some David Copperfield's special where he just shows us how he did all this?
That would be, that would be amazing. Let's talk about things we loved about this pilot. It's a short pilot, right? This was only, even though we've been talking about it for 40 minutes, it was only a 21 and 42-second pilot. Yeah. So I'm curious if there were any things that you loved about this pilot that maybe we didn't talk about.
I love when I recognize every single neighborhood in the TV pilot.
Max likes familiarity.
That's true.
Rich, what about yourself?
I think that he fits in every weapon in his arsenal in the first like 10 minutes of this, and he just goes for it. I think he this does feel very Canadian, very British in its sensibility. And I think he just like absolutely nails it. He's like, I can't imagine if I went back and watched his original segment where he's doing like the consumer report thing that for the CBC, like if I went back and watched it, I would assume it's almost like beat by beat, very similar to Nathan For You. And the fact that he just brought it over is like, the fact that it's not for everyone feels good. Like, I like that. I like that Comedy Central took that chance.
So for myself, we've done a lot of shows recently where we've watched and we've been like, how did they make this so long? Or why did they make this so long? And I think this show does such a great job of being efficient with the time that it has available to it, right? There was no part of me that was like, oh, I wish this scene went longer. There was no part of me that was like, oh, they went a little bit too long with this one, right? I think it was just enough cringe, just enough comedy to have me be like, oh, I'm enjoying this, rather than, do I need to fast forward at any point in time? Because that is the dangerous line that we are tightroping here with this type of comedy, and I think he absolutely fucking nailed it.
100%.
Now, I just said that this is cringe comedy. That sort of leads to wait a minute moments. That leads to moments that cause you pause. I'm curious if either of you have any wait a minute moments that were on your mind.
I really like the Yogurt Haven segment. I like the in-ear monitor interviews. I really don't like the Valley Pizza Land segment because so much of the case study that we're doing on this one from a business perspective is watching like a hospitality employee just eat shit from people. And poo ice cream was the first segment on the show. But what they put this guy through to get accosted and verbally abused while they film from the bushes, it just, I don't know, it didn't strike me as funny. Like, maybe that guy has a funny story to tell. Maybe he, to this day, talks about being in Nathan For You, and it's a fun thing for family and friends, and he's shaking it off.
Maybe he's getting laid because of it.
Who knows? And who knows if he even went home that day, it was like, that was weird, but I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be on Comedy Central. I'm excited to tell people. But
that dude's crushing on Raya right now.
It just, I don't know. I don't like just watching someone get yelled at for the sake of our amusement.
Yeah, that was. I have two, and Max, you just nailed that first one. It was too much at the expense of Angel, and that plus the national anthem segment. It was too much. Angel's the butt of the joke for this one, and there was a certain point where I felt bad for him, just like taking verbal abuse for someone else's idea, and yeah. So I think in the grand scheme, Fielder probably regrets that one. And then the other one, we touched on it, or you touched on it a little bit, Max, but the soft flip at the end of the yogurt segment where he's just like, hey, I realize this isn't a good idea. Bye.
Oh, like, the bailout.
Why did he do that? You didn't need to. I mean, the soft fade out of like, we're not doing this anymore, only needed to be that sign. You just needed to do that one. You just need to show the sign. You didn't need for Nathan to bail out of his own idea. It felt weird that they made that choice.
Yeah, and for myself, I think that while I enjoyed the efficiency of this pilot, I would agree that when you come up with a joke, it should not be at someone else's expense ever. Ever. That is, there's a reason why I find it devastating that prank TikTok and prank YouTubers are so popular, because they're taking advantage of people. And there's many times that those people are not signing consent waivers, right? Yeah. Is there a version of this that I wish they just put Nathan Fielder in that shirt in the beginning and had him drive around with Angel, and Angel be like, hey, here are my tips Here's my best
Right.
advice. That would have been really fucking funny. And then Nathan just constantly asking for advice or being yelled at. That's a funnier version of this.
I do like the moments with Angel because it reminds us that life out in actual life, not TV, is not Iron Man, it's Napoleon Dynamite. And that, like, I think that's pretty true to life of just like, I don't know how much convincing they had to do to get Angel to sing in addition to like, doing this as part of his job. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to take in.
Well, we have one more question, and that is our in-flight question. Our in-flight question came through Instagram, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to submit those later in the episode. But our in-flight question was, gentlemen, you must have worked at a multitude of different businesses. Which one do you think needed Nathan, and how would he help that business? So I do genuinely love this question of the idea of what's a business or, a job that you've had that maybe needed Nathan Fielder's help to be a little bit more successful.
Rich, kick it off.
So there's a couple businesses I was at that I think could use a lot of help right now. One was like a laser treatment, like a face laser treatment thing for celebrities. I just left my career of managing social media influencers. That's not doing too poorly, but I think there's a shelf life on that kind of thing. But number one would be working for the Chicago White Sox. I would love to see. That's a pretty failing business right now. They have 17 wins on the year. Everyone else is at like 40. I would love to see Nathan Fielder come in and show a flailing franchise how to sell more tickets. I don't know. I don't have exactly what he would choose to do, but I would love to see that.
So when we were all in college, I was an intern for this company called Campus Socialite Media / The Convos. And they were basically, it was like a big marketing agency for brands to get more in tune with college students. And like, there was a point where they came out with an app that was like Tinder for brands, where like you would swipe right and swipe left on the brands that you liked.
This sounds like the worst Silicon Valley meeting of all time.
Versus what you didn't like. And I'll give all the credit where credit is due. The founder of this company has become very, very successful doing other things, as have all the other founders of these companies. But maybe, just maybe, Nathan would have been a little bit of a help with making sure that this company lasted for the long run. Max,
wow.
I'm curious, what about yourself?
Well, my inspo actually comes a little bit more from Nathan Fielder's work on the Rehearsal. I used to be a counselor and improv coach for children's youth theaters.
Oh,
and
God.
I would just love Nathan to come in and introduce some real like mask work and all that clowning stuff that's really popular. I want to scare these kids out of a life from the theater from their suburban day camp theater experience.
You want it to be a scared straight to get them away from the theater? If Max could make an impact on just one potential theater kid and tell them not to do it.
I just want Nathan Fielder to come in and say, we're no longer doing Annie Jr., we're now doing Brecht.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for that in-flight question. Let's talk a little bit about the history of this show. Super short and sweet. There were 4 seasons of this show, a total of 31 episodes, and there was also 1 TV special as well. This show is beloved. It has been included on not only Rich's favorite shows, but also 10 different lists of best shows of the 2000s, including the New York Times and the AV Club as 2 of the more notable ones. This show has received 9 nominations and also won 3 awards, including the WGA Award for Best Comedy and Variety of Sketch Series. Nice. And that is the history of this show. So, gentlemen and Rich, what is your game of the week?
Well, I have a little bit of Nathan for you trivia, and I think I'm pretty positive Max has seen every episode of this. Jeff, have you also seen every episode of this?
This is my first episode of
No
Nathan
way.
for
Yeah,
You.
Rich, this is a pretty sporadic watch for me as well, so you
This
might
is
get
going
us.
to be a very hard quiz then. Okay, let's do it.
I feel so underprepared.
Yeah, we might go 0 for 3.
Well, I got very good grades, so
All right. Nathan for You's Billboard campaign, and well, I guess this will just be for the people at home who have watched more episodes of this. Nathan for You's Billboard in the Billboard campaign in the Los Angeles area nearly identically copied the billboards for what TV show, but instead had Nathan Fielder in them. Is it A, The Sopranos, B, Law and Order SVU, C, The Blacklist, D, The Mentalist?
I'm going to go see The Blacklist.
I was also going to go with The Blacklist because that was
The Blacklist.
Yeah,
all right,
that was a
all
pretty
right.
memorable one.
Okay.
I may not have seen this show, but I know FYC campaigns.
Nathan once tried to evade tariffs for importing smoke detectors by saying they're actually musical instruments and trying to get them classified as such, and recorded a song using the smoke detector as evidence. What was the name of the fake band that he recorded the smoke detector song with? Is it A, Milk Fancy, B, Bonsai Predicament, C, Smokers Allowed, D, Questionable Horizon?
I'm going to go with D just for fun.
Yeah, I'm going to go D as well.
It is Bonsai Predicament. And the little red herring I threw in there was Smokers Allowed, which was his conversion to get legal smoking inside of a bar in the valley, by saying it's a play and having 2 like theater seats behind a curtain so that people could smoke in there because it's a performance piece. Nathan arranged for a ghostwriter to write a book about losing weight while actually tricking people into doing what? A, mowing people's lawns, B, moving people's furniture, D, delivering groceries. C, delivering groceries, D, installing roofing.
B, moving furniture.
I'm going to guess that is correct because Max if you watch on our YouTube, Max gave a little bit of a giveaway look. But for shits and gigs, I'll say delivering groceries.
It is, in fact, moving people's furniture, and that ebook is still available on Amazon.
My eyes said, I've seen this one.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for your game of the week. As our flight comes to a land, gentlemen, I have 2 questions for you. Based off of this pilot and this pilot alone, would you continue watching this show? You know, we really liked the first part. We liked the interviews, but we were sort of soured by how they dealt with the pizzeria. And then my second question, do you think this type of show has a place in the TV world or one of the streaming networks that are out there?
I mean, personally, yes. Obviously, as someone who has seen all 31 episodes of this, including the special primetime feature thing that Jeff, you were alluding to earlier, which is also fucking hysterical. You should watch it. 100%, I'm watching more of this. In fact, it puts me back in that 2015 mindset of oh, this is the state of comedy is changing. Comedy Central is still innovating after all these years. And I absolutely think the show could still be made today. It would probably be in a shorter form social media type thing, though. It is I wouldn't call it a prank show by any means, because what the actual draw to the show is how far Nathan can take the commitment of it. But I really do think it feels pretty timeless, I would say.
Max, what about yourself?
I would definitely continue to give us a try, watch another few episodes, see what's going on out there. I think that his commitment to it is what sells it for me. I think, though, that things like Nathan For You and its success have unfortunately kind of killed the market for this type of show, because we've now seen these lowest common denominator versions that try to ride its coattails, but do something that's, I don't know, more punked or crank call than anything that Nathan Fielder attempted. He's definitely taken the docu style and pushed into new boundaries, both with the Rehearsal being so much more than just a spiritual successor to the show, his work as a producer on shows like How To with John Wilson. But I think as Nathan For You goes, it's just a thing that hit the pinnacle of what it did, and unfortunately now has just spawned too many cheap imitators, looking at you, True TV, to ever actually reclaim its rightful spot.
Yeah, and for myself, I think based off of the pilot, I would definitely give this another watch. I think, Max, I'm more likely to give this the sporadic watch than just sit down and be like, you know what, I'm going to binge all 31 episodes of Nathan For You and then a TV special. That's
Nathan Fielder's voice has diminishing marginal return, I will tell you that.
And we lost the Canadian market.
As far as life
that's far.
For this show, I think the show has a life not as a traditional TV show or maybe a traditional streamer, but more of sort of the short form content that we're seeing pop up more and more on a YouTube of here's 15 minutes. There's a couple of ads interplaced unless you use an ad blocker, which you're not supposed to do. And then, and then you are done with it, but you get that joke and you're like, oh, this is really funny. I'm going to pass this. And then you find out, hey, this has 10 million views, hypothetically. Is it harder to do that these days? Sure. But then in the world that we're in, where we're looking for these short little clips and as well, I could see, this 31 episodes that we have right now be turned into 93 different YouTube videos that are extremely successful. And I know that's extremely upsetting to hear, but I also think that's how this show lives on.
I hated it, but you have your right to give your opinion.
Hey, it's better than True TV. Fight me, Crank. Fuck them, whatever they're called.
Were you going to call them the Crank Yankers?
Yes, I was.
Were you going to call them the Crank Yankers?
Crank Yankers.
That's the next show we're doing.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Tune in next week for Crank Yankers with our special guest,
Paul Scheer. But in all honesty,
I was going to say Joyce Carol Oates.
That is our pilot. But before we head out and before this plane lands, gentlemen, where can folks find you?
You can find me hanging out in Eagle Rock at Walt's Pinball Bar, Capri Club, or Cacao Mexicatessen. You can find me on all things social media at Maxwell Sig.
Rich?
You can find me, why do you have nail polish on? Because I'm gay. Happy Pride.
Oh my God.
You can find me on Instagram.
Nathan For You is the retconned Pride Month episode.
Setting the table for mean gays everywhere. All right. You can also find me on Instagram at Damn That's Rich. You can find original sketch comedy from Max and myself on TikTok at Dadwagon Comedy.
And you can find me trying to, scrub my history of owning any fancy cars. I've never owned a fancy car. Why would I be owning a fancy car? I'm not compensating for anything. But if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Run Jeff Run. If you're looking for the TV Pilot's License, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, as well as YouTube at TV Pilot's License. If you have a question for the show, maybe you have an in-flight question for our next episode, shoot us an email at tvpilotslicense@gmail.com or give us a call at 213-290-1713. Make sure to watch out for a sneak preview of some of the stuff that we have coming up. But with the plane landed and the seatbelt sign off, we look forward to flying the bright skies of the TV world with you again soon. And until then...
Penis. Oh.
Support small businesses, everyone. Have a good one.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God.